Well, we missed last week. So
Yeah.
how up to speed are you? I don't know how up to speed I am, but let's figure out what to do
Uh,
today.
yeah, we could look at the I looked at part of the recording, the last recording that you guys did, um, that I was a little bit tired and I had to check out early, where you were doing some of the diagrams.
Right. So here they are, the diagrams. Uh, I mean, they look pretty nice, I think.
Yeah, I
There's
think they're what?
lots of ideas about what to do with them. But in this simple case, I mean, it's well, I don't know which one is clearer in these two cases. But if you don't know what the star means, this is nice.
Yeah,
Or if you're not sure what the star means.
yeah,
So
yeah.
simple cases here are nice. So I was looking at this one, and I think it might be worth it to uh, put this expressions inside here, like inline it.
Okay.
Even though it wouldn't work here because there are other rules that kind of use expressions. So it needs to have a name and be on its own line. But in the diagram, it would probably work better to put it in here. But I don't know how well that would generalize.
Hmm.
Well, I think what we ended it with last time was kind of getting this done, and now we need to look at it and see uh, what could be improved. So here, if we put the simple statements inside here and keep the name there, it would probably work better as well.
Yeah.
For the simple statement, this doesn't really bring too much clarity, but it is what it is. Expression
Mm,
statements. I mean, if this was formatted better, if it was broken out into individual
into
lines.
yeah, new lines. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But definitely the diagram shows at least like the listing of
Yeah.
which simple statements are possible, yeah. Or which types of simple statements.
Yep. Right. Expression statements. I guess again, this thing could be inlined. Uh,
Do we want to hmm, do we want to do something with fonts, for example, where notice how there's literal like break and continue or
mhm.
quote, would we want those would we want to render oh, I guess they're all in monospace.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, all right.
And they technically have to be in monospace because
Of course.
the diagramming library doesn't know how wide the
Ah,
label is, and
I
even I
see.
think the browser determines the font. So this is like a
Okay.
guess.
Okay.
And if you end up with a
Right.
different font, uh, this might
Right. It might not
overrun the
line up.
margins. So we definitely don't want to use a non-monospace font.
Okay.
Uh, Luckily, the monospace fonts are usually this size. I mean, the author of the library says this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, still, this is a guess. But what we could do is change the colors, for example. I think
Oh,
we'll
okay.
eventually want to do that, if only to distinguish
Make
between
them
the different
exactly.
kinds of tokens, because
Yeah.
the quotes are not very visible. So expression statements. This should probably be inlined as well. I don't know if it would be better to uh, Oh well, we'll get to expressions later, I guess. Oh, did I miss one? Oh, I missed compound statements. We should be looking at this one first. That's the one with all the function
Oh
definitions.
wow. Yeah.
So this has two unrelated things. One is compound statement, and then block is used in pretty much all of the others.
Hmm.
Now here the else block could be inlined, but it should be inlined in here as well. If the elif statement includes itself, which is interesting. So these probably need to stay as they are. While is nice and easy. I wonder if we can convince the diagramming library to put a new line after this or before this block.
New line. I see.
Like if I look at this railroad diagram, it has this it's called
Mm.
stack, which is like a sequence but formatted differently.
Oh, okay. I guess they
Maybe it
call it
would
a
be
stack. Okay.
nice to like show the indent here after the
Yeah. Yeah.
colon, but I don't know if there's enough information to do this in general. Or maybe we should special case block.
Yeah. Or special case colon block.
Yeah, maybe that. Oh, that's one idea. This well statement looks nice. For statement is a little squished, so the
Colon block might help there too.
block might help. Yeah. Try is complicated.
Well, yeah. Yeah. There's no easy way around that. Although they don't, it's not too bad there. I mean, try, finally, accept.
Yeah,
Oh, they don't, there's no catch keyword in, is there?
there's accept.
Accept, okay. Oh, I see it. That's how it works. Right.
Yeah, this is fine. It's a bit squished. The new line here wouldn't have that much.
No. Well, let's see. If it were, no, no, it wouldn't.
And we might want to do some kind of word or line wrapping with the diagrams as well as
Hmm.
the text. Well, I guess other than that, this is fine.
If we made the line width smaller, thinner, then it would make the text stand out more, and it would probably make it more readable.
Maybe.
There's probably there's probably like a skin param,
Yeah.
uh, something
Well,
around there
we
that
can
would. Yeah.
we can use CSS with these. Oh, there.
Oh, is it in
Especially
CSS?
if they weren't
Oh, they're
were like
SVGs.
images,
Okay.
we could like
Yeah.
inline them and style them using
Hmm.
using CSS. Uh, yeah, there are ways to do that.
Hmm.
Color them and stuff like that. Right, then we have the with
Uh, yeah.
statement. which huh, I wonder why. So this with item is optional, and this
Uh,
comma is optional. Why is one? Why does the through line go above here?
oh, because you might only have one item instead of a list. You might not have a
Yeah, but
comma.
but there's a so with item is optional, but the through line goes
Uh-huh.
like a straight, and then the comma is
Oh.
optional, but the through line is curved. Why is that not
Hmm.
consistent? What are we doing then? So this is a gather. Oh, this is not correct. The with item could be repeated. Yeah,
Uh,
this is
yeah, there's a little plus there.
there is uh some bug there. So this is a gather. Oh, this is doing optional and not should be one
Not
or
with.
more, I think.
Oh, one or more. Okay, right, right.
Let's see. Oh, did that work?
Hmm. Did it? It didn't make a difference.
Huh. What? Oh, maybe this has some kind of cache in it. Nope.
Huh.
Hmm. So let's regenerate everything. So that should get rid of this file. No. Doc reference. Oh, am I putting things in? I am using the wrong command. It should be in diagrams, right? Looking for diagrams here.
Oh, that's
Huh.
strange. I just heard an arpeggio.
What is that?
I heard a strange.
Was that? Yeah, I heard it too. Was that from Discord or
I think so,
did something
unless.
try to uh, try to message me? Oh no.
Uh,
Okay,
I don't have any.
there we go.
Yeah.
That is it. Okay, so with item can be repeated, and if it is, you need to use the comma here. So
Oh, there we go.
yeah, so this
Yeah.
is correct. So the interesting thing here, I don't know if this could be drawn in a better way, but this pattern of this gather, and then the separator is optional at the end. Uh,
Mm.
that's kind of frequent in CPython grammar.
I see.
And I don't know if
Yeah,
it can be drawn more nicely. But anyway, the other thing that could be done here is aligning these with item gathers. Because one of them is with parentheses,
yeah.
which when you do the parentheses, you can put a comma at the end.
Oh, I see. So maybe have the parentheses as kind of like optionals above the line, or
Now, there's no good way to draw this, because if you have a
oh,
parenthesis at the beginning, you need to have it at the end.
right.
So don't really. Well, I mean, this is the way to draw
Right.
it with the railroad
Yeah.
diagrams. But at least these two things could be aligned, so it's more obvious that
Ah,
they're the
yes.
same.
Yes.
But I don't think we can do that with this diagramming library.
Yeah, because it's basically just lining it up with respect to, relative to itself. Each line is
Oh well,
that's basically centered on that line. Yeah.
relative to like the other line that's somewhere else in the diagram.
Yeah.
But I think this does come up relatively often. Well, we'll see that. And now, of course, this with item, if we could somehow merge these two, then we could merge this thing inside as well. But yeah, that's not very easy to do. Alright, then we have match statement. Just this is probably the best thing we can have.
Yeah. Yeah.
If guard, okay. So I guess this would be much better if it was in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it needs to be its own little section there. We have patterns, open sequence. What is open? Where's that? That's documented somewhere else. Pattern can be an as pattern or pattern. Again, this could be inlined in here. I guess something else references pattern, so we need it not inlined, but could be in here. Closed pattern. Oh, or pattern is a closed pattern separated by these pipes. So yeah, if it wasn't broken up like this, it would be easier to explain the grammar. But I guess it's easier to explain the feature itself when it is broken up.
Would it make sense to have like, because right now we're basically defining each I guess molecule.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should have a full, like a top view.
Like this thing. Everything in one.
Yeah, maybe not everything, but everything like within a particular category. in other words, like a summary of the category, like for example, patterns, and then have like one diagram with all the various patterns.
Oh, right.
And then, it would
So we
almost be a
would
little bit
put
redundant, but
we would
here,
put
yeah, sort
everything
of have like the
here.
overview, the overview. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of like what we have at the top where we say match statement, subject expression, case block.
yeah. Just to
We
put
don't,
all of the little
yes,
rules in
have the three
here
exactly. Yeah.
because
That way there
it's
would be a diagram that would
it's true
correspond
that
to the grammar
this
block.
piece of grammar
Well, that's
doesn't
only one. Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
really make any sense if you don't know where guard is, and for that you need to
Yeah. There's no context. Yeah.
you need to go up there. Huh. Yeah, I guess that would make sense for the text version as well to put the guard in here.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
Or the patterns. Yeah.
So, for example, at the top of each chapter, we basically have the text, and then for each line of the text, we have a diagram, but we don't have a diagram for that first block that includes all three lines. Or
Yeah. So I guess for literal patterns, the name is descriptive enough, and you could have this in
yeah, that's
some
true.
section. But the
Yeah.
or an are or an as, I guess the syntax would be better up here. And for the guard, it should go up there, just to make a little more sense. Yeah. Oh no, we're now rewriting the pattern matching documentation.
Yeah, that's true. That would be a.
Yeah, but otherwise this is interesting. Complex number. And this is much clearer from the diagram than it was from the text. So complex number has arbitrary numbers on each side, but then it says later then that the real number must be on the left and imaginary on the right.
Of the sign. Yeah.
What's up with that? So if
Let's see.
match match and do 2j plus 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get a
Oh,
syntax error. That's nice. And this one is not a syntax error, I guess, since that's just addition. Yep.
So 2J would be a complex number?
2j is an imaginary number. The whole thing is
Imaginary. Okay. Right. Okay.
Well, all of them are complex, but this one is a general complex number.
Right.
Interesting. So there's a special case for what would normally be addition or subtraction, but you can't really do that with variables or sub-expressions here. There's a special case here. All right. now we get to the negative look ahead. And this is the thing that the library
Hmm.
doesn't support, the look aheads.
Oh.
So we hacked this up with this name group, which would be much better for, inlining stuff
Mm-hmm.
in here. But I think this is the feature that will force us to write our own SVG generator for these diagrams. We could either
Wow.
we could skip these in the diagrams. I guess that
Well, it
would
seems like
probably work best. I mean, it's already on in here, and it's always documented. So it's. I mean, I was saying that about the text description. Yeah, maybe we could omit these, but it turns out we can't really do that. But maybe for the diagrams, we could say, this is simplified, and the real version of the syntax is right next to it. So maybe.
do we need to be concerned about like the scope of the PR, like if it has too many moving parts?
So
In other words, if we're making a diagram and we're making like a parser and we're making uh, like
well,
if we're adding too many different
the
things.
way I was going to go through this is write everything and then split it up into manageable pieces that could go in as pull requests,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and that would probably go in together with some rewriting and reorganization of the prose.
Okay.
But there's also stuff we can leave for later. I mean, we could go and do
No,
the
I
pull
don't have a
request
strong
right
opinion. I'm
now.
just yeah, I was just wondering what the strategies are for.
Um, I don't know.
But that's
I just like to see the like see the final
of
result.
course, of
Uh,
course.
Hopefully, it won't take another year.
Yeah.
Right, wildcard pattern probably doesn't even need a diagram. Value pattern definitely does need some inlining here. Group pattern, yeah, it would be nice to inline this like up there wherever group pattern is, and maybe name it group pattern. These are just little tiny pieces. Of the syntax. This is a bigger piece of the syntax. And I guess again this could be inlined, like maybe sequence pattern. What is up with that? Maybe star paren. Right, so what does this do again? It's sequences. What's the difference here? Oh, and one of them, the maybe star pattern, one of them, the comma is required. Ah, I see what the difference is now. It's quite subtle. So in the open sequence pattern, like in the parentheses, there needs to be a comma, and in the maybe sequence pattern, you can go through this without encountering the comma. And that's because if you parenthesize something that doesn't have a comma inside, then it's not a sequence, and it's just an expression in parentheses. Interesting. Okay, and then there's the maybe star pattern, and both of these, which can be a star pattern or any pattern, and that's just standard grammar language. Okay, so that makes sense. I don't know if we can simplify this other than try inlining it. And if we do try inlining it, maybe these things will become too big and get shrinked as images. So maybe the inlining needs to take the width into account in some way. I don't know if we can get the width.
Well, then we would definitely have to figure out the new line stuff.
Or just not inline it if it would make things too big.
Okay.
Anyway, so then we go on to the mapping patterns, and this is just too complicated. So items pattern, again, this could be aligned with this occurrence of the items pattern. Don't think we can make this library do it, but if we double star pattern should probably be in line in there. I don't know why it isn't. Whatever needs the double star pattern. Key value pattern should be in line in there. Why is it not? What needs the key value pattern? Why is it not inlined? Is it Oh, we explicitly ask for the key value pattern here. Oh, I see. It's probably more readable in the text version.
Yeah, that is pretty,
here than if you take this and put it in here. I don't know. Let's try without that. So I take away that. Try to build it. Are there just too many parentheses here?
Well, it's let's see, literal pattern.
Yeah, I guess it was more readable before that with the name. But yeah, we should definitely inline it for the diagram. Yeah, so if we do inlining for the diagram, we can retain the name, right? So we can put this whole thing in here and put it in that little box that says key value pattern. Can't really do that for the text version, but I'm more and more convinced that's the next step we should do for the diagrams. Right, what's next? Class patterns. And why is this so complicated?
Oh, because you can have them, I guess, with or without keyword patterns.
Yeah. So
Too many sequences, or different kinds of sequences.
this could be simplified somehow. This whole thing is optional. You can have empty parentheses. You can have patterns separated by commas. You can have an optional comma at the end if you have that. And then you can have patterns separated by commas, then a comma, and then keyword patterns. Oh, this is one of those things we talked about that we could simplify in the diagram versions. This is the optional sequence.
Oh, I see. Right.
Right, where you have more stuff that needs to be in order, but you can skip any one of them. Problem is we can't use optional sequence from this library because we have separators on these lines.
Oh, I see.
So we need to roll our own. But yeah, there's pattern comma, then there's the this comma, which is required if you have both, and then there's keyword patterns.
And the optional sequence doesn't have a way of specifying a pattern?
No, it's just
I mean, a separator?
No, it's just children here.
No. Okay. I see.
Yeah, so we would need, and you can't really build this out of the other primitives, I think, because these lines just go in a particular way. So that's a feature for the new upcoming diagramming library.
Oh god.
So we probably should do after the initial pull request for CPython.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, keyword patterns only appears once here, so that could be inlined. It would probably make the whole thing too big though. But it would have a nice symmetry with the pattern here. And that's sequence of comma separated stuff. And again, this pattern and comma could be aligned with the other instance here, but again, that's not something you can do with this library. Now we get to function definitions, which look like this, and you have to really squint. And putting a new line between this colon and the block wouldn't help anything at all. So we probably want to put a new line right before this def. Maybe, yeah, before the def, and here, probably,
yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, but it's just a nice straight rail all the way through with some optional stuff. And then the complicated stuff is then down here. Decorators can be repeated. Parameters is this giant mess. Slash no default, param no default, param with default. Oh, param with default is this, and star etc is this, so we can have this. call it optional sequence. And this time it's even without separators. Ah. Yeah, so you could just skip this whole thing and go straight to param with default, which is the same as taking this branch. So, yeah, this would be nice to simplify somehow. So if this appears more than once, we should do that. Okay, then slash no default. So all the boxes here are more complicated. And again, we have the look ahead here, which makes the whole thing more complicated to look at. Right, so you can either have a comma, or you can, see the parentheses at the end, which means that basically that you'll skip all the other ones, everything after this until you get to this parentheses here. I just wish we had this this optional sequence and it was performant enough to be actually useful in the grammar itself. Right, default, whatever.
So if we were to make a change to the railroad diagram library, would we, I guess, push it upstream or just somehow patch it locally?
Who knows? I haven't really looked at the code yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't looked at, how receptive the upstream is.
Right, I see. Or it might even be easier to write it ourselves in Python, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, it looks like there's not too many issues. Make example HTML work again. From January. Fixing examples HTML has bitrotted without a comment by the maintainer. Might not be very maintained anymore. Oh, there's 7 months ago somebody got an pull request. Yeah, I mean, if we end up adding some useful feature, then we definitely should send a pull request for it. Don't know if it'll be accepted. But I don't think there's too much of a problem taking this little file here. It's only 2,000 lines of code.
Oh yeah, okay.
Without tests, but yeah. So that's what I'll have in my branch for now. Just plop it in there.
Sure.
It's very, very nice packaging wise.
Yeah.
This is not nice though. This is really complicated. there's a rule called star etc, which goes where at the very end of parameters, so it's whatever comes after the stars in parameters, and you have like a recursive pattern here with the optional sequence, like you have it here, and in the star etc it's there again, like this keywords, like that's the very end here, this param may be default, that's in here. Oh, and there's this pesky star here, so keywords can go without the star. Oh. Oh well. Yeah, but this is definitely the most complicated piece of the grammar. The one problem with this most complicated piece of the grammar is where's lambda? It's expressions, right? So for lambdas, the whole thing is repeated. And it's repeated, but instead of the parentheses look ahead, you now have a colon look ahead.
Oh God. Okay.
And I guess it's also written a bit differently, but the parameters should definitely look the same. They're just not in parentheses. They end with a colon. And maybe they have fewer features. Oh, you can't have typing information in lambdas because there's the problem with the colon, I guess.
Oh, yeah. How curious. Okay, that's right. So that would be a conflict.
Yeah. So this is like a mini version of the parameters, and it's really ugly, I think. Anyway, we can't really fix it in the documentation. Class definitions, and this is really simple, and it's simple because the type params are up there with the functions, and the arguments are oh, this is parameters, not arguments. There's arguments. Args. Oh, that's a call. Right.
A call?
Yeah, these arguments that take the syntax of a call instead of function definition. I mean, that's reasonable. That's fine. You can skip the parentheses here if you don't have anything. Oh, this is nice and readable. Again, it's a bit squished, so we want a new line in the middle probably, but so overall it's fine. Coroutines don't really have syntax because we put the async and in the non-async version docs. Type parameter lists. Where's that used? It's probably used in the class and function definitions, but here again, this could be aligned better. Like if we could get it to align all these equal signs below each other, that would be perfect. But otherwise, it's great. This could even be aligned in here. Maybe that would make it nicer. So that's compound statements. For simple statements, we started on these. And what do we have here? So this is like a bunch of separate cases. So I guess it make sense. No, I mean, some of them are pretty straightforward. I wonder if this, like an expanded version of this with everything inlined, would be useful. Probably wouldn't be useful to inline assignment statements anywhere.
No.
Because this is just a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Wonder if we could, get some structure in this.
Yeah, like a breadcrumb or something.
Like, make it more obvious what's going on in here.
Yeah.
So, for example, this aug assign. Where does that aug assign is one of these tokens.
Oh wow. Okay.
Once you know that,
Sure.
I mean, we could probably align the equal signs and the augmented equal signs. I mean,
Yes.
if I was drawing this by hand, I would do that. You're saying that, on the right hand side you can have a name with, a typing annotation on it, and the name can have like different variations here, and some of those variations need something like some of these variations need an assignment to be an assignment statement, and you can have different kinds of expression depending on what's in front of the equal sign.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that we could get by aligning these equal signs below each other.
Sure.
Right? But
yeah,
I don't think there's enough info in the grammar to do that automatically. You would need to align that by hand.
Or or have some kind of like a macro that would be like center, left, or right justified, or something like that.
No.
Oh no, right? Because you want things relative to, for example, the equal sign.
Yeah, I want these equal signs aligned, even if even if it means like this line would be longer and the whole picture will stretch. Right. And we can't really do that automatically. So there would need to be, for example, where's this simple statements? For example, I would. Like in here, somewhere, I would have to say line on equal signs or something like that, and then this thing would try to align these equal signs to be at the same position. I don't know how that would work. They're deeply nested in here. They're optional and stuff like that. Maybe it would even be easier to do these kinds of adjustments by hand every time Python is released. Just publish that.
Ooh.
Huh, that's an idea.
Yeah. I mean, it does sort of detract a little bit from the automatic. The desire to have it be fully automated.
Yeah. I mean, you could say,
but
this is a hand-adjusted version of this hash. Whenever.
Well, and if it's only for a release, In other words, it might not be such a big deal if you only do it like once per release.
Yeah, but that's definitely not for the first pull request.
No, that's right.
So single target
Curious. I
here.
wonder what that
I don't even know where
got that
that's
noise
coming
again.
from. Is it your computer or mine?
Oh no, it's 5 minutes after the hour.
Huh.
Maybe it's my computer. I'm not
Who
sure.
knows? So we have annotated right hand side, which would be good to inline. We have single target, which appears in two places here. But it's, I don't know if I would want to inline that one. What's the difference between these? Well, I guess this appears only once, so that's a good reason to try to inline it. Oh, and then there's a continuation. There's star targets. Oh, these are star targets. Which have the negative look ahead here. The star target could be inlined in here. There's a target with star atom down here. That could be inlined. And star atom is this big thing here. Oh, is this complicated? So this one's interesting. If I was drawing this by hand, I would probably
align with star target.
I would probably draw a line here and loop it back here. The star target is this and ends with itself. So this is basically a recursive rule. I don't think you can really do that with, especially not one like this where it's composed of these little parts. Since a line like that would start in this branch of the options and go back before. But it would be nice to, have this option in some better library. I think we could order these in some way that makes more sense, because there's target with star atom, which is this, and then that includes star atom, which is this, and maybe star atom only appears here, so this whole thing could be inlined in here, which would be a good thing. It kind of recurses on itself in various ways. Star targets tuple sequence. Well, I guess what I can say right now is that these diagrams don't really make this seem straightforward.
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing that they're broken out like this. I mean, we did that in this branch. But this is reasonably straightforward. All the complex stuff have these names.
Yeah.
And if you just go here, that's your assignment statement, or the normal form of it.
Yes.
And then each one of the other rails adds a complication. And here this is just a maze. And I don't see how to improve that, so let's move on. This is funny. Uh, so I think there might be oh, there's this horizontal choice
Oh.
where items are stacked horizontally rather than vertically, and that might work better. And here, there's this famous Pascal poster. Like the thing, all of
Oh
these,
yeah, Guido.
all
Guido
of these
mentioned that.
are modeled after, right? And you can see
Yeah.
where you can see this horizontal choice like that. That would
Oh,
work.
that is nice.
Yeah, that would work really well for the
Yeah.
augmented assignment operators.
Mhm.
Right, and maybe even for this,
Yeah.
although
Yeah. Yeah.
not as much. Because if these are long, right? So if you lay them one
Yeah.
after the other,
It will
it'll
push off the
overflow.
edge of the page.
But these are short. Yeah, maybe we should look at that diagram for more inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, should we do one image for the whole syntax?
Um.
Probably not. It's quite complicated.
Well, but they don't do that, right? Because this.
Yeah, it
Oh, I
has
see.
several
It.
blocks here.
There is something to be said for that because discoverability. If you could just go to one place, and remember, we have the option of like infinite canvas, so it doesn't. We don't have to be constrained by a print size necessarily,
Uh,
unless we decide we do. In which case, then we have to think about
no.
printing.
Well, we also want to keep it readable. And if you
But I mean, I
can,
like the idea of like having something for blocks, having something for types, having something for statements,
yeah,
uh, because then it becomes more of a kind of a quick reference. I think it becomes more useful as a quick reference.
yeah. Maybe we should figure out which parts are just complications and don't need to be on the poster.
Right, exactly.
Right. Anyway, after the complication of assignment statements, you have assert, which is
Mm.
which could
Oh, wow.
could probably be inlined up there, like in here, wherever it is.
Yeah. There's a certain.
You have pass, which already is inlined up there. You have del,
Right.
which del targets are somewhat complicated. Is this? Oh, there we go. Old version. Same bug as before. So again, del targets could be inlined in here. That would make things easier. And for the del target, I guess we could inline that as well, although the name is quite... I mean, it works pretty well in here. Here. I wonder why the name is not like the first branch.
Yeah, exactly.
Here that...
What's up? Oh, because of the way it.
Yeah, because of the way the parser works.
Oh, because it's got a parentheses.
I think it's because name would match a T primary.
T primary, yeah. Yeah.
So if it was here, the parser would say the del target is that name and wouldn't go on to see if there's a dot after the name.
Oh,
So
we should almost have the soul like the name node be the first item.
Maybe.
And then it would have, then it would be like in ascending complexity.
Well, maybe we should just sort it by complexity.
Oh.
But this is the first example where we do that, so maybe it's not that important. And the order of the choices matters for the formal grammar.
I see.
So
Okay.
we
Okay.
didn't want to reorganize things too much.
No.
Oh yeah, this is, all the complications are right here. It's not that bad. And we have return. Again, that could be inlined up there. Yield. The yield statement is just a yield expression. Raise. Yeah, that could also be inlined up there. It's pretty straightforward. I wonder if we can. Yeah, I wonder if we should move the syntax definition up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we should do a simple example. Like, start the section with a simple example of what we're talking about.
Oh, that would be nice. In fact, there's some examples down below, I think.
Yeah. So these are examples of more complicated cases, right?
Mm. Right, because they're showing the whole try block.
No, this is the chaining exceptions, right? This raises an exception, and then when handling it, you raise another one. So the traceback has two sections, like this, blah blah blah, and this was the direct cause of the following exception, blah blah blah. So that's if you use the from here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If you don't use the from, it's not the direct cause, but it's like during handling of the above exception, another one occurred.
Okay.
Right, so yeah, examples for complicated cases are nice, but when reading this, I don't want the formal grammar here. When first reading this, I want a nice example to just see what we're talking about. And I wouldn't mind if the grammar was included up there. There will be some opposition to this idea, but maybe we can.
Yeah, I can see where there would be opposition, but
Yeah. Then we have the break statement and the continue statement, which in this version, in this branch, are already in here because that's how the grammar defines them. There's like no break rule. So this is the old version of the syntax that we're getting ready to delete. And then of course there's import, which is complicated. You can have import dotted name as name. So again, if you follow the first rail, it's pretty easy, and the other one brings on the complication. So it's from some dots with the dotted name or without. So this again is the what's it called? The optional sequence. Right, you can have these dots, and after them you can have the dotted name.
I see. Oh, you can have an ellipsis and then a dotted name?
So this is, you can have as many dots as you want.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's not an ellipsis.
And if it's 3 dots, the tokenizer emits a 3-dot token. So in the grammar, it needs to be handled by this, and it needs to break up the dots. Let's do an example here.
Should we be saving these examples?
This is just to illustrate. Let's tokenize this file and clear the screen. Right, so if I tokenize an empty file, I get an encoding, a bunch of new lines, and marker. If I put it on dot, I get the operator dot. 2 dots, it's 2 operator dots, and with 3 it's a 3-dot operator. If I put in another dot, I get a dot again, and so on. So this is the tokenizing pass. This is what the parser sees, and an import should just look at the number of dots. So it needs to break up these tokens. So another thing is I can put spaces in here as much as I want. Right, that doesn't make any difference.
Okay, they're still the same tokens. Okay, good.
Yeah, the tokenizer doesn't look at spaces unless they separate a token. So this is like dot 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 and then an extra dot. But if I put a space here, it tokenizes the other way. Right, so this is, the fact that it appears twice just draws attention to it, which I would like to avoid by drawing a line from here to here. Right, which is something the library allows me to do, but there would need to be a separate like a node type in the tool for that. Alright, then there's import, and import from targets, and import from targets is a bit more complicated than just these names. You can rename stuff. I can do that here as well. You cannot have dots in these names, only in like in here and here. Here again you have the optional parentheses, which means the whole thing needs to be repeated, which I don't think we can get rid of. And then there's the star. You can just do a star. And dotted name is quite straightforward. I don't even think I would want to inline this. But maybe it would be good to make this recursive. Or may have a loop here instead of making it recursive. But maybe that would change the grammar. Future statements look exactly like imports. There's no distinction at the grammar level. The global statement, that could also be inlined up there. Non-local is the same thing. Type is quite straightforward until we get to the type params, I guess, which are part of the class definitions. But I guess even this could be inlined in the list here. And that's it for simple statements. So far, inlining is probably the most useful next step. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the expressions here. So for atoms, we have a ladder, not unlike the one with the simple statements. And in this one, a lot of things are already inlined. So we have name, which is a token, true, false, none. Strings are a bit more complicated. There's numbers and various parenthesized stuff. And then there's the ellipses, which I think is last before because it's the least common. So the parser tries all of these other ones before it gets to the ellipses. So we have names, they are tokens. We have literals, which are kind of a part of this, are literals, like true, non, false, and an ellipsis, and they're broken up and they can't be made their own rule because they're because of the priority. True, false, and none are like the first things to be tried, and then ellipsis is the last one. Oh, but by literals we're talking about strings and bytes, sorry. Oh, okay. So strings are only complicated because of f strings.
Oh.
Yeah.
But should they be, maybe f strings should be treated differently? Like maybe we could have strings, just plain strings, and then f strings, and then f strings replaced.
Probably. I wonder what would happen if we put the string as the first branch here. Because you can have a string token there.
Well, you said it was the order was.
The order matters, but string is definitely a different token than f string start.
Yeah.
So the order wouldn't matter here.
So maybe we could have an additional line that said strings : equals string.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to the grammar.
Oh, I think it's already open. Oh no, it's not. Okay.
I closed this thing.
String.
F string or string.
Oh right.
String. So if we do that.
Okay.
And now we need to
space. Oh, okay.
Now we need to regenerate all of the grammar. And recompile everything. And run the tests, which will take a while, and I don't know which ones to run, so let's take a look at that later. But this would definitely make the diagram easier to follow. Right, and in the middle of this thing, so this says you can have a string, and you can have f string start, f string middle, f string end with f string replacement fields in the middle, and then you have all these back edges, which so what I would do if I was what I would do if I was drawing this by hand is I would put a little arrow on all of these back edges, just so it's a bit easier to follow and you don't have to look at the curves. But I guess this all is the stars and pluses, right? You can repeat these, you can repeat all of it, and none of it is optional. And then the f string replacement field is well, it just has its own sub-syntax, and inside an f string replacement field after the colon you can have another f string replacement field, which is quite interesting. And the rules for tokenizing this are pretty complicated as well.
I bet.
So this doesn't tell you the full picture, but I mean, as far as Railroad diagrams go, this is great. Parenthesized forms, so you can have a yield expression or named expression here, and named expression is assignment or expression, so this should definitely be inlined and hit there. And I think the only reason it's not is that some other rule needs named expressions without the yield ones.
Oh, I see.
But in the diagram,
Yeah, because we had yield is expanded somewhere else.
no, it's something else needs named expression. So
Named
it needs
expression. Okay.
this line to be somewhere in the grammar, so you can link to it. But we don't have that limitation in the diagrams. We can just take this and inline it in here. Right, what's next? Displays. So there's common syntax elements for comprehensions. Are for if clauses and for if clause. I wonder if something needs for if clause by its own. Nope. We can probably inline that even in the text version. Oh, so the test succeeded. So we can do this change and make things easier to follow, which is nice. Let me go to we're in expressions right now, and we can get rid of this for if clause, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So this whole thing was now inlined. And it's probably just as readable as before. This is good. Let me look at how the strings look with the strings and string in front. Yeah, I think this is a bit more readable if the simple case is on top.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, list displays. There's two things in here that don't really refer to one another. Oh, this is a list and this is a list comprehension. And those should be probably separated. Yeah, the old documentation had everything inside square brackets. As a choice, and the new grammar has two separate rules for it, which I think is more readable, but the documentation should be structured around that. Should probably have list displays and list comprehensions and set comprehensions and stuff like that in separate sections. Set displays, the same thing. Dictionary displays are bit more complicated because they have internal structure, and I guess the star named expressions are documented somewhere else. So dict double started key value pair. This all looks pretty straightforward. Dict comprehension can only have one key value pair. Right. Generator expressions, well, with everything already defined, these are simple. Yield expressions. So simple. I don't know why generate iterated methods are in the syntax grammar, but let's leave them there. And now we get to primaries.
Wow.
So primary, again, there's the problem with priority here. That says atom name needs to be last after the primary, because if you parse an atom, if atom would be the first, the parser wouldn't get to this dot here. So this is basically name.name.name, attribute access and calls and slicing. I don't know if T primary is used anywhere.
And what is the T? Open primary? What is T?
I don't know. What is it? What is T primary?
Target. Target?
Oh, target primary. Huh. Okay, maybe it should be documented somewhere else. What's the difference?
Yeah.
There's slices. There's the generate expression. There's the arguments. There's the atom. These two just have different priorities, don't they? Yeah, someone took these slices and moved them up 2 notches. Is there a comment?
I don't know.
No, there's no comment, of course.
Maybe that's a question for the discourse. Expression.
Yeah, but it definitely looks like T means target. And target, I would bet that this is therefore either types and values or for performance. Oh right. So if you do T primary dot name, it'll give you this pi_ast attribute, which is just the node for attribute access with load. Right? But if you do just primary, it'll also do load. Okay. Oh, so this is exactly the same, isn't it? Yep. It is exactly the same. So, yeah, so this is just for performance, I guess. I would assume that when you're assigning to stuff, square bracket slicing is much more common than if you're reading stuff. Would that make sense?
Yeah.
I can't think of
so.
Another reason for this. Well, or maybe it's error handling.
Error.
That's another possible reason. There's call. Call? Oh, there's call.
pi_ast.
Yeah, this looks pretty much the same. Interesting. Maybe we should squash these two together somehow. Rename.
I mean, Yeah, other than the order of processing the cases, they seem the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could do that experiment again where we replace all. Well, we just replace T primer with primary. I think we can do that and run the tests. We need to regen the grammar, recompile everything, and nope. Yeah, so they're different.
Okay.
So apparently the difference is in the subscript.
Okay.
But I can't see the difference. Maybe load extra. Oh, is there some kind of look ahead? Oh, I see. There's a look ahead here. There's a look ahead here. That might be the difference. Who knows? Okay, apparently they're not interchangeable, so. But
okay.
why that is not obvious from the grammar at all, or at least from the diagrams. Interesting. Well, maybe somebody will explain that when we come to the pull request. Probably doesn't affect the formatting too much. Now, subscriptions. So slicing can be a slice or something a bit more complicated. And here, see, slice is a special case of this. Right? We should be able to simplify that. If we try hard enough, but since this is like part of a choice, and there's an optional element after it, it's not that easy to teach the computer to spot this pattern. But if we could simplify that, then this all could like be inlined in here, which might or might not be an improvement since this is pretty big. Next up we have slicings, which is part of subscriptions. I guess this branch is slicing and the other one is subscriptions. We have calls, which could use the optional sequence, I guess. So this keyword arguments, that could just be a line that goes right there. And in keyword arguments, this keyword argument that will store should go right in there. And then this whole thing could be inlined in there. But I see no new optimization we could do here. Yes, this piece of the grammar looks a bit awkward. Weight expression, So it includes expressions that are not not actually await expressions. So this is await or primary.
Or primary, yeah.
And then we get into the arithmetic operators. Right,
Oh
so
God.
it's
Okay.
await primary, and then you can have the double star and factor, where factor you can have one of the
Oh.
unary operators and another factor, or a power. Right,
Oh, I see.
so in here I would again like to draw the line from here back to the start. Right, so we can do plus, minus, or tilde and go back to the beginning here, pretty much. Or it's the power, the next one. Oh, where do we have powers? Oh, here. Ah. And how do we get to term? Oh, we were going the other way around. So yeah, term gets us to factor, and factor gets us to power.
Wow. Okay.
So a term, you can have a term, then one of these operators, and then a factor. So this is recursive here. Sum is exactly the same thing, but the operators are different. So all of these operators have the same priority. All of these have a different priority. We have shifting operators, which are exactly the same thing. Then the bitwise operations, which each has its own priority. Comparisons, which, well, if you inline those compare of bitwise or pair, you should get something similar to that. So this gets you to bitwise or, and then after that you can have one of these operators and another bitwise or. Yeah, so this should probably be inlined. I don't know why it isn't. Can we inline this? Nope. Oh, we have a not implemented error somewhere in the code. That's interesting.
Oh. We didn't get that before, though, did we?
Nope, I mean, it's probably
Peg generator. Oh.
model node. Yeah, it's probably something we left out because we didn't need it yet. Let me save that as a note for later to do. It's too late now to go look at the code. I wanted to do this review and figure out what the next step should be, but that would be something interesting for next week. So that's comparisons. This now tells you what Python does for comparisons. Boolean operators are conjunctions separated by or, inversions by and. An inversion can have a not in front. Maybe this could all be inlined in one another and put in little boxes. Assignment expressions are nice and easy. Refreshingly easy.
That's good.
Conditional expressions, so you can have a disjunction, just the next thing.
Yeah.
Then you can follow it by if, blah 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 else. Or Or the whole thing can be a lambda definition, which is interesting to put it in here, but why not? Lambda definition is nice and easy, except it has lambda parameters, which, you know, we already looked at this. This is the parameter definition grammar with all the look-aheads, but they're now different. And this could use the optional sequence if we can get to that. This lambda star EDC is here. This name default blah 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 is here, so that could just lead right there instead of repeating all this stuff. All right, now expression lists look easy enough, especially if star named expressions gets inlined in there, and star named expression probably cannot be inlined in both places easily, so it should stay. And oh, that's it. That's the whole grammar with 10 minutes to spare. All right, so take away from this, I hope it was interesting, even though I didn't really change any code. But the takeaway from this is we need to do more inlining for the diagrams.
Yeah. And we may have to do our own diagramming for like the look-aheads, for instance.
Yeah. And the reason we can do more inlining here is we can preserve the names. So if we have boxes like this, we can say, oh, this is a, I don't know, a dotted name. Because in the text, to name something, it has to be on its own line. Yeah, so ideas for our own ideas for extending the library would be, so we had what? We had aligning, and we had optional sequence with separator. And this optional sequence we could also do for import. There was probably one more before I stopped writing before I started writing these down. That's probably it, other than what I already put in. So the diff of the SVG files is quite annoying. So here, yeah, the string and f string. That's I'll commit that.
Good.
Because I think that just simplifies the grammar a bit and shouldn't really have any performance penalties there. They both start with a token. Okay, and what's the rest of these changes? not much. Or the for if clause. Oh, we got that in line now.
Very nice.
So next week, I guess it's time for more aggressive optimization for the diagrams,
Yeah.
trying to inline stuff in them, and maybe after that a bit of styling.
And what kind of tests should we write for these? Just tests to make sure that they work, like just the happy path, or are there, I don't know, other things that we should be doing?
So you can. So the diagrams are defined by nested classes, which
Oh.
means I mean, if we know the output, we should be able to write this as a. We should be able to write this expected output as
Yeah.
text.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
then we can assert that it's still the same.
Okay.
Well, that's a good idea. I'll add that to the to-do.
I mean, that's the sort of thing I could do on my own, or maybe do it with William.
If you want to, that would be helpful. If you find the time for it. And of course, if you run into any trouble, we can talk about it here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah.
Right. Thanks for the offer.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, I'd be happy to be able to do that.
That'd be
Good
great.
practice.
All right. See you next
Great.
week then.
Well, see you next week. Yeah, for sure. Cheers. Take care, man. Bye bye.